you can't say I'm looking for a friend, but I'm not interested in sexual relationship. It's weird. So probably you just have to find someone who's going to tell you that it's weird. It's really weird. Welcome to another episode of my podcast, That's Fine With Me. Today we're going to be talking about Black Pill, the community, what is the meaning behind this. I've been studying this topic for quite a while, and honestly, sometimes I still don't understand what is the point in this community. Of course, I'm a woman, and a lot of men that are participants of this community will definitely argue with me and maybe even hate me for whatever I will say. But honestly, the main point behind the ideology of this community is that they're not worthy of attention of a woman, or they're just not worthy. A lot of them speculate that all women, they need status, money, looks, and maybe something else in addition, but frankly speaking, I don't really think so. Either they're picking the right women or their generalization is working against them. So let's get started. I watched a couple of videos from different podcasters, and of course, I saw a couple of videos of, let's call them alphas, that were and still are talking about alpha dominating this world, and there's at least 2% of men that can have whatever they want. And I would say the community of Black Pill, they're following this tendency, and they think that they're not worthy of this top 10 or 2% of population, man population, and they're definitely not alpha. We're going to be talking about maxing as well, and the way it's so trending over TikTok. Honestly, it might sound crazy, but a lot of this weird comments and shitty communities, they came from TikTok as well as trends from TikTok. It's a huge trash box with a lot of ideologies, with a lot of trashy content, as well as, I don't know, there's so much useful information, but still a lot of really negative information as well. So Black Pill basically is not only about your worth, but that men were attempting to do something good in their life, to have a great career or maybe love and relationship, as well as they were trying to be healthy and go to gym and whatever, and every single time they failed. Of course, failures, we can't compromise sometimes and do something against the will, but when we need to achieve certain purposes in our lives and aims, of course we need to probably force ourselves to do something against our will or against our beliefs. Not always, but I would say for quite a long period of time, I was looking for a job at the embassy. And this was my dream work. And I found a little bit different job, and I shared this experience years ago in my podcast and my channel as well. And I worked as an assistant. It didn't really go well for me, and I quit my job in 3 months with a nervous breakdown. Of course, it was a complete failure because I couldn't find a job, and I asked my aunt to squeeze me in this position. And yeah, it turned out into a huge full-blown nervous breakdown. And how is that related to this topic of Black Pill? When I was watching Healthy Gamer GG, he was talking about suppressing emotions. And a lot of men from this community, they are suppressing their emotions while they try to achieve certain goals. And when it doesn't really help or it doesn't work for them, they surround themselves with yes people saying, helpers. We can call them helpers or supporters. And they would say, oh, you're not ugly. You are a hard worker. Everything's going to be fine for you. And I don't really see any problem with that. But as the doctor says, sometimes people should face the reality. If they're ugly, they should know they're ugly, and they have to accept this truth. The thing about that is that you would need to work on some problems in your relationship or in your appearance, your face. I don't know how this person should work with this, and try to probably choose a little bit different approach to things. And it is related to my problem. When I was suppressing my feelings, it turned into a nervous breakdown. And I guess a lot of men from this community, they try to suppress their emotions and they feel hopelessness. In a way, it is a depression. And I know that this doctor or podcaster was talking about the importance of feeling and expressing these feelings to your friends, family, going to a therapy, but not always achieving your goals is going to help you out to get this hope, to get this hope back. Well, it was so hard for me to understand. I mean, I was watching this video and I understand the reasonings behind this, but I don't understand how this Black Pill person is gonna solve the issue and this problem. Because he was talking about basically people not getting their goals, and that was the main point of their depression, hopelessness, that they tried it once and twice, 5 times and 6 times. And he was talking about his experience when he tried to get into medical school, and for 2 years he had a lot of rejections. And funny to say, I had the same issue, because when I quit this job with a nervous breakdown, for the whole year I couldn't find a job. So before this, let's say, assistant career, I couldn't find a job for a year. And then after that, still I couldn't find a job for the whole year. So almost 2 years I had to listen for different rejections, and I was applying to numerous positions. And it wasn't only embassy, as an assistant, as ambassador, not ambassador, but like as going to embassy and applying for assistant job as well. And I even went to a lot of job interviews where I still had a lot of rejections, and every single embassy that had posted a position, I guess, rejected me back in the day. And only, I guess, in a year of my attempts to get a job, I finally got it. This is not my story to share my success or to rub this in your nose. No, it's just more the story that black pill is when one problem after another one, it's piling, and there's like no way out for you guys, and you think that you're not worthy. I don't know. I just put a mask. Of course, I felt unworthy as well. I felt like I couldn't achieve anything that I was willing for. I thought that my skills weren't good for people. My English wasn't good for people. And, I had a lot of doubts and a lot of sabotage. And it's pretty normal for the brain to sabotage ourselves, especially when you have at least 4 rejections. The 5th one is probably just going to happen. Again, your brain is trained this way that, the 5th time is going to be a failure again. But I just didn't stop. I worked like a robot. I kept on sending my CVs. I kept on going on job interviews, and that was my way. So when I got a job in a year, I actually quit this job again in a year. So I had a year of experience. Everything was great. I really loved my colleagues. But at the same time, I felt like I just was missing something, and I wanted to pursue a little bit different career as an influencer, because I was doing this simultaneously. I was doing my influence career and I was doing my embassy career at the same time. And to show you guys that sometimes what we pictured in the mind, that probably you want to have lovely relationship, it's not going to be something that you really need in your life. As well as an assistant job, I watched Devil Wears Prada, and I thought that I want to be an assistant. And when I got this job, this was the most traumatizing experience in my life, as well as Indy from Devil Wears Prada. She had similar experience, but she stayed there because I had similar, like, my boss wasn't, my boss was screaming. So she wasn't that passive aggressive, I would say. She was just aggressive. That was the main reason why I felt like I really loved this job and I really needed this job, but it turned out that that was my biggest mistake. That is the main reason why a lot of these black pill guys, when they've never experienced any relationship or they've never experienced to be a business owner, but they want this, and when they try to achieve this goal, they get a failure, like they go through this failure. They think that they are unworthy of it. But as I see from my perspective, that maybe 50% of these guys, they might not even like this relationship, or this relationship might be toxic. And I want to quote a phrase: how women, even ugly ones, wants to date top 10 guys. And then it just was the ending of the phrase. It wasn't really, really important for me. So how women, even ugly ones, that caught my attention, because a lot of these guys from Black Pill, they think that even ugly or women with disabilities, poor women, I don't know, like with some imperfections, they still can get a guy. And they, so good, but no money and no looks, they can get a woman. I would say that it actually caught my attention. Are you looking for a relationship, or you're looking for love and you look for appreciation and friendship in a way? Because another great experience when I was watching some podcast, when this guy, Healthy Gamer GG, he was reading a comment from a guy who was thinking about getting in this black pill community because he felt he wasn't worthy, and he was pretty descriptive about the situation he was going through. He registered on Tinder and was scrolling through this app, and he was looking for a girlfriend, but not just a girlfriend. He straight away pointed out that he wasn't interested in sexual relationship, and mainly he felt he was asexual, and that was the main reason why he was just looking for some friendship. First and foremost, why do you need a friendship with a girl? It's weird. If you don't want to have any sexual relation with a person, then you can have a male friend. Why are you so specific about being with a woman and not having any sexual relationship? That's my question number one. Second question, Tinder is an app famous for sex options, and a lot of people go in there for this, I guess, opportunity. And when you start your conversation with a woman that you're not interested in sexual relationship, it's probably a little bit weird. I would say, as a woman, my friend and I, we were walking around the city and we were just talking, and one guy, he was a little bit weird, but still he was nice. I mean, he looked cute. So he came over and he asked for our phone numbers, and he said that he just wants to be friends with us. I pointed out that I'm married, and I can't say for my friend, but my friend wasn't interested, I guess. So he was like, I just want to have friends with girls. It's okay if you have a husband, if you have, I don't know, like a boyfriend. I just want to be friends. Okay, let's just talk about this weird conversation. And this is about the approach. When you're talking to a woman and she's telling you that she has a significant other, or even if you're talking to a guy and he has a significant other, and you just want to be friend, but you're not talking about a male friend, you're talking about female friend, the question in the air is, why do you need that? First and foremost, my significant other is probably going to be jealous. It's a territorial thing, and I guess it's pretty much okay if my husband or my boyfriend comes home and tells me, I started some friendship with a girl. She's not interested in any sexual interaction, but I just met her and she wants to be a friend. And let's be friends. Well, I'm going to raise an eyebrow. What are you talking about? And I'm going to be not only jealous, but what is the point in this friendship? How did you know her? And there are going to be so many questions on top of that. So when you're actually looking for a girl to be friends with, it's weird only because you're not interested in relationship. So what is the point in this friendship if you have male friends? Second of all, specifically going and looking for a friend, it's another question that women or men are gonna be a little bit scared of. Like, why are you going and looking for a friend? Most of the friendship, they come naturally, and it's your classmate or group mate, or you are neighbors and maybe you have the same hobbies. For example, my husband, he is a huge fan of cars. He loves cars, and we have an Audi. And my husband, he was looking for a club where people were talking about cars, like a black pill community. But my husband went in a little bit more, I would say, healthy direction and looked for a person with real hobbies, not toxic, I guess, toxic conversations about not being praised, not being worthy, not being, just like weird and really heavy talks. So he was looking for people that had shared, let's say, same hobbies. And when he went to a meeting, they had some group meetings. There were a lot of girls and there were a lot of guys right there. And they were talking about their hobbies. And that is how my husband, he found a couple of friends that he's still talking and communicating with. And one of those friends, he actually found his girlfriend in this club because they're both huge fans of Audi cars, and both of them have this car. And now they moved in together, and they've been together for, I guess, 3 or 4 years. That's why this is pretty natural. If you're looking for friendship, then you choose some communities that has similar values with you or similar hobbies with you. But when you're straightforward, just going out there and looking for a person just to find a person, though you're not sharing anything in common, then people, of course, they're a little bit suspicious, and it's probably the issue with the approach to find a girlfriend. And it's an issue of being super direct and crazy talking about, I'm not interested in sexual relationship. I just need a friend, a female friend. What? It's weird. And of course, I would say that not every single girl is probably, as they mentioned, from this black pill community, I would say podcast and alpha and whatever I was watching. It's so stupid because it's the opposite of feminism, I would say. And we're going to talk about something serious in, I guess, my future podcast about femicide and many, many more. But for now, I would say that if women wanted to have freedom and to be to have equal rights as feminism, then the black pill community is like, oh, I just can't find a woman because they're not interested in me, and this pettiness to themselves. Sometimes it's, yeah, we're all going through something. We're all going through a lot of problems in our lives, and either you find the same community that's still feeling pity to themselves and hopelessness, or you try to figure this out. And of course, I know that a lot of these people, they went through, therapy, and they still couldn't figure this out. But I guess it's the problem with the approach. Let me just explain. One of my friends, she's never dated a guy. She's 30. She's never had any relationship, and as you would call it, sub community, I would say. She's incel. It's kind of like celibate, but involuntary celibate, because most of the time when you get through celibate, you get an idea that it's willingness and you just don't want to have any sexual relationship with anyone. And incel, or it's called, incelibate, I guess. The problem is a little bit different thing. They think that they're getting rejected from women, and they're not talking about prostitutes. They think it's the same way as masturbation. That is the main reason why they think that they have to be loved and they have to be in a loved relationship. First and foremost, a lot of relationship can be toxic, as well as this type of communities. And if you get in any relationship, sometimes it can be so toxic that, it's the same as having sex with a prostitute. I would say, I started talking about one of my friends, and she's never dated a guy. She's 30. And when I talked to her, she said that she wants to find love, and this is a priority for her. But she's not willing to settle down with anyone who doesn't match, I would say, her priorities. And this is a difference. She has certain standards, and she's not willing to give up the standards when she's looking for a guy. And by the way, her standards are not to be a guy with a status, with money, or with looks. Her main I'd say point is that whenever she sees guys, they're not manly enough, in a way that, for example, as she described, once she was getting out of the office and there was just rain, and when the rain stopped, she was going home, and two of these guys, they were standing there and just waiting for something, and she asked, like, why are you standing here? And they were like, oh, it's so it's watery outside, and a lot of puddles. We were afraid that we're gonna get wet. And she thinks in her way that, first of all, puddles, they're not gonna dry out within an hour, at least an hour. And she's like, what kind of man is that who's afraid of puddles? And she's just looking for mutual support, I guess, just equality. She's looking for equality, that she can handle herself, but he can handle himself as well. And she's not going to be his mom. And she sees a lot of the guys that they're like sons. Then they need a mom who's going to solve their problems. That is her problem. I have another friend of mine, and she hasn't been in a relationship for 3 or 4 years. And of course, she wants to have a kid. She wants to have a guy, but same issue and same problem. A lot of those guys, they want to have a mom instead of a real friend partner that's going to support you through this relationship and this marriage. Of course, I understand that my friends have their own issues, and probably that is the main reason why they're single, which is pretty normal for every single person. But my friends, they're operating on a belief that they want to find love. And the main idea of finding love is attraction. So if you watched one of my podcasts where I talked about love, like, love consists of 3 points: attraction, sexual attraction, and then it forms a little bit later, but mutual support and lifetime goals. This is what love is about when there was a study. And my friends, they're looking for this, I would say, opportunity to find attraction, to find love, and find, the sexual attraction later, just passion. But when I read about black pill community and the words like, even ugly women can find partners and we can't, it's more like your perception of a woman that you can settle down with an ugly woman as you think she's ugly. So you're probably not looking for a partner who's you're going to be attracted to, or you're going to, find a friend as you claim to be. You're looking for just someone to be in this relationship. You're not, following your instincts and maybe your feelings sometimes. And you just feel, I know that there might be some failures and sometimes guys, they get rejected. But again, I talked about this in my podcast today, that maybe you should change the approach. So just don't be that straightforward, and probably find a community with people that have mutual hobbies and with their girls out there. I would say I remember, maxing, and guys, they're comparing themselves to maxing. Maxing is basically a community or trend in TikTok where guys, they're comparing themselves to this top alpha, this really handsome guys that everyone wants to have in their life. And they even teach you how to become this maxing. And Black Pill is the opposite community. We're like, oh, we can't be the same. I guess it's too much for one community and it's too much for the other one. It's more like too much thinking, and maybe more actions should be involved. Yeah, if you get 100 of rejections, maybe 101st rejection is still going to be really painful, but the 200th relationship can end up. At the same time, maybe you still need to change your approach. Another great example, when I was applying for a job, I had my CV and I thought my CV was pretty good, but I didn't even get any invitation to a job interview. I was like, okay, so what is going on? And I went on YouTube and I started looking for CV forms and how I should probably create my CV. And I realized that I've done everything wrong and I should redo completely my CV application. That was the main reason why I applied my new CV, and I'd say that 70% of my applications, they were pretty successful in a way that at least I got job interviews with people, with like real people, and not just people were studying my CV and I got rejection from not even talking to people. So here is the same thing. If we're talking about maxing, it's all related to sex. And these guys, they're just and this alpha thing, they're just looking for sex. And it's pretty much similar to a sex with a prostitute, but you paying for a prostitute, and here you just getting girls with their looks. But most of the time, these guys, they're not interested in relationship. They're interested in narcissistic nature, that someone is praising their ego and girls just melting in front of them. But if you have an issue with a Black Pill, I guess you're looking for a real connection. That's why maxing is not for you. It's not about looks. If you're looking for a relationship and a partner, it shouldn't be about looks. By the way, about being ugly, when I was watching Healthy Gamer GG, he was talking that let's face the truth. There are people ugly out there. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I can't disagree. But at the same time, this is a problem of perception from my point of view. For example, my mom, she is not a huge fan of Celentano, Andrea Celentano. He's an Italian singer and actor. I love his sense of humor, and I watched a lot of his films. He's pretty old now, but I didn't find him ugly. Yeah, I mean, he's not the most attractive man in the world, but still, there was something there about him. I don't know, probably his charisma or sense of humor, but still, my mom, she even compared him to a monkey, which I was like, no, he's definitely not. I just like, my mom, she straightforward like, no, he's literally ugly. And I'm like, no. And he had a lot of fans. But when my mom was talking about Alain Delon, maybe you know who that is. He was a French actor, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of women were like, oh my God, this is Alain Delon. I never liked him. I felt he was ugly, though he was considered to be one of the, handsome and prettiest men in the world back in the day. That is my point, that it's so subjective, as well as Sarah Jessica Parker. A lot of the times she was called out to be one of the ugliest women in the world, though maybe I can believe in this before Sex and the City and the first episodes of Sex and the City, with the leopard print and the hairstyle wasn't matching her. But as soon as I saw new episodes with a little bit different dressing, with a little bit different shoes, and she was always in heels, and with a little bit styled differently, she wasn't that bad. Honestly, when she was talking and flirting and with a little bit of makeup, I couldn't say that she was the ugliest woman in the world. I actually felt she was more or less pretty. That's, again, a little bit different approach to things. So if this style doesn't really work for you, and if this way of conversation or starting this conversation doesn't work for you, then probably you should change something in your image. And as well as media training, a lot of celebrities, especially new celebrities that were discovered, they are looking for, I guess, some fame, but when they get this, they go through media training because they know that they can say a lot of things that is not professional, and it can get public really quick, and they're gonna fight through a lot of misconceptions and a lot of problems in the future. That is the main reason why I would say you don't really need a media training. You just have to probably think of women not as something that you need to win back, or, oh my God, I'm going to just go to a gym and change my face, and then I'm going to change this and that. It's more about attitude, and it's more about the way you approach women, and you shouldn't be afraid of women. It just has to be natural. And if it's really hard for you to be natural with women, then maybe you should start small and not look for a woman itself. You should just go there and maybe start conversation with someone from your club, or I don't know, not out of nowhere, but just like, join some hobby community or create your own community. It's like Black Pill. You've created a community where there's a huge shift from being unworthy and a little bit different division when men think that women are bad and they will try to punish them. Because I heard some rumors and I heard a lot of stories where guys that are in this community, when they found relationship, they started beating their girls and treating them badly because they felt that these women still were looking for money and attractions, and it's just their issue in their head, not the girls' issues, if it makes any sense. That is the main reason why these communities, they're pretty toxic, and there were some killings that guys committed. Even kids were in this position, and that is the main reason why I'd say it's not always about hopelessness. It's not always about your appearance. It's about the way you approach women and the way you approach your life. I don't know how you can be hopeless, and maybe it's a way of depression, but again, I got so many rejections when I applied for the embassy position. I can't even count them. Honestly, it was on and on and on. And believe it or not, but every single time I did actually believe that someday I'm going to find a job. Someday I'm going to be there. And I actually did find a job. Or maybe I would need to find a little bit different job for now. And then if I get a chance or a little bit more experience, then I can find my dream job. It's just, vice versa. I think that maxing, I think Black Pill, I think feminism, and many, many more other communities, it's really damaging, and you should pay attention to a lot of sources when they say these communities, they might have toxic people around you that they are gonna influence you more and more and more, and it's better to just turn off emotions, relieve these emotions, but turn off emotions when like, I can't do this, I won't do this, in a way like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm gonna be rejected again, but I'm gonna at least try. Next time, yeah, I'm gonna be rejected one more time, at least I'm gonna try. It really worked for me. I understand the brain works a little bit differently, and it tries to, save us from additional work, but it is what it is. Life is tough. It's really hard. And sometimes I lose faith. Sometimes I lose hope. Then I cry, then I talk to myself, and then I hope for something better, and then I do something better. I try to change my approach and getting something in my life. So I hope this was more or less helpful for some of you guys. And again, incel, for example, involuntary celibate, I saw a lot of cute guys out there claiming that they're not worthy, their looks or money or status or whatever. I totally disagree. I think that they're really nice guys. It's just the problem with their self-esteem, and probably they're just being weird. They just need someone who will tell them, you need to change your approach. Dude, that's gross. Just You can't say I'm looking for a friend, but I'm not interested in sexual relationship. It's weird. So probably you just have to find someone who's going to tell you that it's weird. It's really weird, and tell you how you should probably communicate with women. Read more books, and it's not about pickup. Just like there's another community where they're literally teaching you how to pick up girls. No, it's more like how to start a normal conversation, like a real normal conversation, or at least if it's a little bit geeky conversation, make sure that you find a forum or community that can get your sense of humor. It's just for me, but it's pretty dangerous. Try to stay away from black pill community because there are a lot of toxic emotions and toxic approaches out there, and try to figure this out with a therapist. Try to figure this out with a person who's gonna help you out, tell you the truth, face this truth, relive these emotions, and just change the approach to things. I know I told you this thousands of times in today's podcast, but it is what it is. I mean, this is the only way around. And by the way, when I started dating my husband, I was 16. I didn't care about status. My parents and his parents were not rich, and they're still not rich. They're from working class. My husband was 17, and yeah, he was really cute for my personal point of view, but a lot of my friends didn't really like him, and they said that he wasn't cute and he wasn't handsome. But I didn't care about that. It's more about the looks to you, because I was called out ugly as well, numerous times. Someone calls me super pretty and compliments me a lot. Someone calls me out really ugly person. It's about perception. So when you think that you're ugly, maybe there's going to be a woman that thinks that you're the most beautiful man in the world, and you should believe her. I would say, yeah, failures, they're not great. Failures, they're a part of life. I've been through all of it. But if you want to succeed and if you really want to achieve something in your life, and I'm talking about relationship, just maybe change the attitude. Love you all so much, and I'm going to see you in my next podcast. That's fine with me. Bye bye.